What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. October's here, which means it's time to talk about my most anticipated movies of the month. Before we begin, let me know in the comments what movies in October you're most looking forward to seeing. As always, this is just a reminder that this list will be in order of release date, not ranked by how much I'm anticipating each movie. Also, make sure to hit that thumbs up button if you like these videos, as it helps me out immensely by getting my channel out there. And if you're new here, I hope you consider hitting that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with more movie related content like reviews and rankings on a near daily basis. So with it being the home stretch of the year, and with there being a lot of movies crammed in due to both awards contenders getting released around this time, along with several films finally seeing the light of day due to repeated delays from last year, this month is going to be packed. So normally I only do 10 films for these lists, but today we're going to be doing 15 films, and that's still leaving off a few big movies I want to see, but we'll be here all day if I go through everything. These are just the ones I'm most looking forward to, and I have a feeling November and December will be the same case, so it's about to get busy. And one last thing, I am writing and recording this at the end of September, but my schedule for the beginning of October is pretty busy, so more than likely this won't be out until a few days into October, and I know a few movies on this list will have already been released. So bear with me, as even though a few of these are coming out on the 1st, I'm still not going to get to them for probably a few days afterwards, but let's not waste any more time, and let's get to the list. Kicking things off is Coming Home in the Dark, where a school teacher is forced to confront a brutal act from his past when a pair of ruthless drifters take him and his family on a nightmare road trip. This is one I've been hearing about for quite some time, since it premiered at Sundance earlier in the year. For the most part, it's received fairly high critical reviews. I know a few people who already saw it and quite enjoyed it, and from what I can see, it looks like it'll be a tense, eerie psychological horror that I'm sure will be more than its premise lets on. This hits theaters and VOD on the 1st. The Many Saints of Newark looks at the formative years of young Tony Soprano in a prequel to the legendary TV series The Sopranos. I'm a big fan of the original show, and this brings back series creator David Chase as a co-writer, so my excitement for this is pretty high. While it may not be the same actors returning to these roles, it still will be nice to get another look as far as what makes so many of these characters tick, and I'm sure it'll serve as a loving tribute to the original series, especially to the late great James Gandolfini. While from the looks of it, it might stand well on its own for those who haven't seen the show. If you haven't seen The Sopranos, get on that, and then watch this. But either way, it hits theaters and HBO Max on the 1st. Titan, which I won't even get into a plot synopsis of, as to my understanding, it's better to go in knowing as little as humanly possible. But it's from Julia Ducournau, and I apologize if I'm getting that wrong, but her directorial debut was the cannibal horror movie Raw, which was a hell of an experience. And apparently, this manages to top that. I know some people who already got around to this, and from what I've heard, it's supposedly something else. And knowing what this director is capable of with Raw, all I can say is, if you're someone who says there aren't any original movies anymore, this may just put that notion to rest for you. This hits theaters on the 1st. Venom, Let There Be Carnage is about, well, Venom versus Carnage. By the time this is out, I'll probably have already seen the movie, though as of this recording I haven't. But I like the first Venom. I know it got a ton of hate and it's far from a perfect movie, but it's fun. I enjoyed Tom Hardy. I thought the use of humor was a pleasant surprise, and it made up for some of the faults the film's script had. And from my understanding, this is a bigger, bolder, faster version of that film, and it doubles down on all that humor as well as the action. Though this time, Woody Harrelson's also around, who I gotta tell you, I was not expecting to take on such a character, but I'm looking forward to it, especially for that supposed doozy of an end credits scene I've been hearing all about. And it hits theaters on the 1st. Lamb focuses on a childless couple who discover a mysterious newborn on their farm in Iceland, and while they are initially brought much joy, that soon turns into despair. It's a horror movie from A24. Need I really say more? Even if A24's horror films might not always be masterpieces, they're always at the very least an experience, and I expect nothing less from this, which from what I'm hearing, it's gonna be some ride. While I've heard plenty of great things about it so far, and I'm sure Nubi Rapace will turn in a solid performance, I guarantee, like some of A24's other films, this will be one of the year's more divisive experiences, as I'm sure it has some tricks up its sleeve that won't be for everyone. But either way, I'm on board, and this hits theaters on the 8th. Mass focuses on the parents of a school shooting victim who come face to face with the parents of the perpetrator. I've been hearing about this one since the very beginning of the year. Everyone who's seen it at film festivals have raved about it as one of the absolute best movies of the year and that it deserves some award buzz. And I've been hearing it so much that I even included it on my early Oscars prediction list, given the critical acclaim it's received thus far. But I guess we'll have to wait and see as far as that goes. This looks like it'll be a pretty heavy experience, but it seems if you're able to stick with it, it will be completely rewarding, and it hits theaters on the 8th. No Time to Die, which feels like the little movie that could at this point, as it's finally here. After so many delays, it's finally seeing the light of day. It's already playing in the UK as of this recording, but in the US, it's an October release. It's the final film with Daniel Craig as James Bond, and it's been a mostly great run overall. And this is actually meant to feel like a send-off to him based on what I've heard, which is something we never really got with the other actors portraying Bond. They just stopped playing him. So I'm really excited to see Craig get the proper swan song he deserves. There's not really much else I have to say about it, other than let's get to this movie. It hits theaters in the US on the 8th. Halloween Kills, which picks up right where the last film left off, with Michael Myers surviving being trapped in a burning basement, causing the Strode women to form a group to hunt down Michael. I really like the 2018 Halloween. I know it doesn't completely sit right with longtime fans of the series, but I had a blast with it. I love the dark comedy it infused, as well as all of its slasher thrills. And it seems this is essentially that, but cranked up a notch, which I guess is for better or worse. I guess if you didn't like the 2018 film, you probably won't like this, but if you liked what David Gordon Green did with the franchise, then you should be totally on board with this. And given that I like that film, I imagine my feelings will ultimately fall in the latter category, and hopefully yours will as well. This hits theaters on the 15th. The Last Duel focuses on Jean de Carouge, who settles a dispute with his squire Jacques Legris over his wife by challenging him to a duel, in what turns out to be the last legally sanctioned duel in France's history. While most eyes are on Ridley Scott's other film House of Gucci later this year, which I am looking forward to, we got one other film of his to talk about, as this was a holdover from last year. While Scott can sometimes be hit and miss, he's still been pretty on point for the most part in his most recent years, so I generally look forward to any time he's got something on the horizon. And in this case, not only do you have a great cast that includes Matt Damon, Jodie Comer, Adam Driver, and Ben Affleck, but a script by the award-winning duo of Damon and Affleck. So at the very least, this should be interesting. While early reviews indicate it might not be one of Scott's best, I'm sure with the talent on board, it'll be at least a somewhat engaging experience. And it hits theaters on the 15th. Dune, another of the year's most frequently pushed back films, finally sees release this month, focusing on a young man born with a great destiny who must travel to a distant planet to ensure the survival of his family and his people. Based on the original novel by Frank Herbert, a lot of eyes are on this one. Not only is Herbert's novel known for being incredibly difficult to adapt, but if Denis Villeneuve can pull it off, which it seems like he has, this could be the start of a major new sci-fi franchise, which I'm sure those who are really into nerdy things will absolutely love to hear. With reviews so far being very positive, it looks like Villeneuve managed to make the impossible possible. This hits theaters, and to Villeneuve's objections, HBO Max on the 22nd. The French Dispatch is a love letter to journalism that brings to life a collection of stories published in the French Dispatch magazine. Wes Anderson is without a doubt one of my favorite filmmakers of all time. I know he gets some criticism for the style he employs, as well as each of his films supposedly feeling like more of the same, but I love just about all of them. And while this is more of an anthology film than a traditional narrative, that doesn't make me any less excited for it. Like all of his films, this boasts an all-star cast that includes all of his regulars, many of whom I'm a big fan of, like Bill Murray and Tilda Swinton. So along with the early critical praise, I'm all on board with this, with it being probably my most anticipated movie if I were to rank all these films, and it hits theaters on the 22nd. The Harder They Fall, which focuses on an outlaw who reassembles his former gang to seek revenge against the man who murdered his parents. This is the feature directorial debut of James Samuel, who's also known by his stage name, The Bullets, who has released short films with each of his musical releases. Now, I'm not familiar with his music, nor have I seen these short films, but it does look like he has a keen eye behind the camera based on the trailer, as the shots we see here look absolutely breathtaking. And I do enjoy a good western. And what makes this a bit more intriguing is its cast, which includes Jonathan Majors, Idris Elba, Regina King, Zazie Beetz, and Delroy Lindo, among many others. So this has my attention. This gets a limited theatrical release on the 22nd, followed by a Netflix release on November 3rd. Passing follows the unexpected reunion of two high school friends, whose renewed acquaintance ignites a mutual obsession that threatens both of their carefully constructed realities. This is the directorial debut of Rebecca Hall, and is another film from Sundance this year that I've heard nothing but great things about. And it received such high praise that I even included it on my early Oscars prediction list video from the beginning of the year. At the very least, I do think it has the potential to snag some acting nominations for both of its leads, as it seems like the film's emotional core relies on its performances more than anything else. Though it also looks to be beautifully filmed, and it does hit some provocative themes, and from the sound of it, it appears this could be the beginning of a brand new path for Hall. This gets a limited theatrical release on the 27th before hitting Netflix on November 10th. Antlers focuses on a middle school teacher and her sheriff brother, who find out one of her students has some dark secrets that lead to terrifying encounters with an ancestral creature who came before them. Another film that's been constantly pushed back so many times since last year, it's almost hard to believe this one's finally going to get released. It's directed by Scott Cooper, who I feel is a severely underappreciated director, as I loved both Crazy Heart and Black Mass, and he's co-writing this with Nick Ancosco, who also wrote the short story this was based on. So all of that, along with the fact that it looks like it'll combine moody atmospheric horror with some creature feature elements, leads me to believe this could be something really unique, and a film that I think will have been worth the wait. So I'm really looking forward to it, and it hits theaters on the 29th. And finally, Last Night in Soho focuses on an aspiring fashion designer who meets a dazzling wannabe singer in the 1960s, and finds out the glamour is not all that it appears to be. Edgar Wright is another of my favorite directors, so the fact he's behind this alone has me hyped. And the fact he's venturing into straightforward psychological horror, as opposed to just horror comedy like in Shaun of the Dead, has me even more hyped. This seems like it's not only going to be a fun, loving tribute to horror of the 1960s, but it also looks absolutely bonkers, with some stunning imagery featured in the trailers. I feel like I only know so much about it going in, though honestly, I'm trying to keep it that way, as I like to see what kind of tricks Wright has up his sleeve. This hits theaters on the 29th. And that's what we have to look forward to in October. And like I said, this is still leaving off a few films that I do want to see, like The Electrical Life of Louis Wayne, the new entries in the Welcome to the Blumhouse series, The Guilty, and more. It's going to be a lot. I'm going to try my best cramming in as many reviews as I can for these, as well as trying to get to some holdovers from the previous months. But with the way things have been going lately for my schedule, we'll see. But stay tuned for reviews for at least some of these, and much more, coming soon. But let me know, which movies are you looking forward to most in October? Was it anything I listed here? Was it something I left off? Let me know in the comments below so we can discuss. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it. And for more movie reviews and film discussion, please make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay updated. Thanks for watching, everyone, and keep having fun with film.